So it is my pleasure to introduce Sophia Nelson, who is normally at a book signing in New York or someplace else, a much larger venue, but because she is a Loudoun resident, she's agreed to do this. It is such an important time of our history for a lot of reasons that I'm sure Sophia will talk about. Besides the fact that Sophia is an author, an attorney, a TV personality, and all those things she is, and she is all those things. She is all that. But I said this to Sophia a lot of times. What I love about Sophia's writing is her writing is so relatable and readable. There are sometimes people write and they seem like they write because they want to make sure you know their vocabulary. Sophia writes because she's trying to relay something to the next person. And Sophia's writing, when I read it, it feels like I'm sitting down having a conversation with her. And I've told her that a lot, many times. And so I am thrilled to be here. I have one of the books already. I'm going to put this up and try to get it out because one, she's Loudoun, and two, because at this moment in our history, we need to discuss what freedom is, how that looks, does everyone feel free, and we need to discuss all the things. And so I'm thrilled to turn it over and to introduce Sophia A. Nelson.
First, let me say, Phyllis, thank you so much for coming by. It means the world to me. She's our county chairwoman, chairperson, if you don't know, of the Board of Supervisors here in Loudoun County, Virginia. And Loudoun County are we the largest county or is it Fairfax?
We're the second, Fairfax is the largest county.
We're the second largest county in Virginia, and as you know, Data Center Alley. This woman here oversees 70% of the world's internet comes through Loudoun County, Virginia. If you didn't know, now you know. And this is in her backyard, in her purview. So again, Phyllis, thank you for what you do. Thank you for being a good sister friend, also an elected leader, and I appreciate it. I'd like to start with a reflection. Some of us in this room are old enough to remember 1976. I was in the second grade. I remember the spirit of 76 and the little flags that they made us take our class pictures with that year. Some of you are nodding because you remember and you were either in grade school or high school or beyond as well. But I thought about that this morning, that 50 years has passed between then and now. And a couple of things came to mind that I think are helpful as we set the table for this discussion. First of all, in 1976, the country was coming out of Watergate and the country was coming out of Vietnam. Gas prices were high, inflation was high. Home interest rates were high. Any of this sound familiar? Just a few years after the country's bicentennial in 1976, we entered into an international conflict when Iran took hostages, American hostages. How many of you remember the yellow ribbons around the old oak tree? Again, some of us are dating ourselves. I bring that up to say to you young people I've dedicated this book to young people like you and you back there and you around here in the front, because this is your country. And I want you to understand a couple of things about what you see right now. First of all, I want you to understand that conflict has always been since the beginning and it will always be. That is the price of freedom and democracy. You have to be vigilant. Democracy does not sustain itself. Freedom, as Coretta Scott King once said, is something that has to be won again and again in every generation. It is not static. But talking to you young people, I want you to know that the people that made the greatest change in this great country, and it is a great country, we have challenges, boy do we have them. But we are still the best thing going, in my humble opinion. And I hope always to be. But if you think about where we are right now at this moment, and you think about, I mentioned Iran. We're in a conflict with Iran right now. I mentioned high inflation, gas, etc. Again, everything goes in a cycle. But it's young people who make the change. And I think there are a couple things that are very broken with our democracy right now, and I'm going to get into those, but I want to be an optimist. And I think the most important thing about being young is that you remember Thomas Jefferson was 33 when he penned these words. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal and endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. He was 33 when he wrote those words. I had the honor of meeting a man named John Lewis. John Lewis was a freedom fighter in the 1960s for civil and voting rights. I met him when I was all of 22 years of age, and I walked up to him and I said, "Can I touch your head?" Why would I want to touch his head? Because you could see the scars and the indentations in his skull from Selma. How many of you have seen the movie Selma? If you haven't, you should watch it. There was a march across the Pettus Bridge just yesterday in Alabama for voting rights. And John Lewis was all of 19 years old. Those like Dr. King and others, these were people in their 20s. But when it comes to America and defending our values and freedom, the world looks to us, not to others, or at least it used to. And I want you to understand that incivility is never okay. That being ugly to your neighbors and your friends is never okay. A poll just this week by Pew said some astounding things. 59% of Americans think that America's best days are behind and not ahead. 59%. 56% of Americans do not trust or like their neighbors. They do not trust or like people that don't share their same political views. Now that's a shift in my lifetime. Because the America I grew up in, you could debate in the public square what you believe in, and you could oppose somebody else and they could come back at you. You could walk away and go have a beer or a coffee and still be friends. We could have divergent political views. We did not have to always agree. But now we're tribal. And I believe we've become that way not because of we the people, but because of those who have honestly taken hold of our country. And I'm talking about this country is not built by a billionaire class. This country is built by people. This country is not built by divisive politicians. This country is built by people. And so it brings me to something George Washington said as I was reflecting on him being the first president. And as you recall, when he was sworn in and then he served 2 terms, we didn't have the constitutional amendment yet because we didn't have a constitution yet. That would have limited him to 2 terms. Instead, George Washington gave up power and he passed it in a peaceful transfer to his Vice President John Adams, who then passed it to Thomas Jefferson, who then passed it to James Madison. You young people, you with me, you know your presidents, right? But there's something that George Washington said that struck me. And it was in his 1796 farewell address. And he said he was suspect of political parties. He was not a fan of the 2-party system. He didn't think it was ultimately good for the country. And he said, "I believe the spirit of 2 parties will kindle the animosity of one party against another." Let me tell you what's happened. What has been kindled is the animosity of us against one another. A republic cannot stand with a divided America. In the last election, and I will close with this, 75 million Americans voted for Kamala D. Harris. 77 million Americans voted for Donald J. Trump, who's now president. 89.6% million Americans did not vote at all. 89 million of our fellow Americans who were eligible to vote did not cast a ballot. What does that tell you? That's the problem. It's cynicism. It's defeatism. This has nothing to do with me. I live in Loudoun County. I'm doing well, so why am I worried about what's going on in Illinois or in Chicago or in Kentucky or in Alabama? You should be. So this book is a call to the next generation to take your country, to take your government, and to take it back to what it was meant to be. And what it was meant to be was a place of freedom for everyone, not just for some. And we have worked on that. In every generation, America does what? She perfects the union. We live in the 21st century. We have an 18th century document that governs who we are. I want you to think about that for a moment. 18th century, written in the 1700s, 1787, and we live in 2026. It's a great document. We need to keep it, but we need to renew its purpose. We need to redefine its boundaries and its growth and its inclusion of everyone, because that's what the founding fathers believed in. That's who the founding fathers were. They were flawed men, and I know some of you already can read your mind. Because this country did start half slave and half free. That is a fact. But what I love about America, and on the cover of this book, there's an endorsement quote from a man named L. Douglas Wilder. He's the first African-American governor of Virginia, but also the first black governor in the history of the United States of America. And only 2 other black men have ever been elected to governor in this country since then. It's 1989. I was in a college classroom. I remember that election. And the reason Governor Wilder is the person on my book, and I have some great endorsements here. I could have had anybody I wanted, but I asked Governor Wilder, who, by the way, is now 95 years old and still really doing well. He still teaches at VCU. He still has a blog. He has a podcast. The point is, I asked him because I want you to think about what I'm about to say. Governor Wilder's 95. He is the grandson of slaves. I say that to remind you that history's not that far. It's very close. His grandparents were from Goochland County, Virginia. They were enslaved there. And their story I talk about in the preamble because they begged their owner not to sell them because they wanted to be married and have a family. And for some miracle, God, he agreed, and he didn't. And they stayed together, and they had children, and those children were free, and those children were Doug Wilder's parents. Think about that. And so, we are closer than we think. We are not enemies. We are friends. We don't have to agree on everything because that's the beauty of the public square. That's the beauty of debate. That is the essence of freedom. In this country, you say what you want. You go where you want. You do what you want. You marry who you want. You travel. You see. You can be nothing and become something amazing in America. There's no other place like it. So I'm asking this generation to please do your part. Be like Jefferson. Be like John Lewis. Be like Madison. George Washington was an older guy. He was in his 40s. But that's not old in our time. Point is, all good movements start with young people. And so I dedicated this book to you. I pray that you will read it and share it and take it seriously because you have a stake in this country. You are not going to have the same standard of living as your baby boomer grandparents and your Gen X parents. That's not okay. You can't pay off your student debt. You can't afford to buy a house. AI is going to radically change the way we do business in the world. It's going to shrink it. It's going to require less human engagement and human input. Think about that. So get off your tails, get engaged, volunteer, register people, vote. I don't care what party you're in, but believe in something. Advocate for yourselves. This is your America. None of us will be here in 250 years. Some of us won't be here in 25 years. Some of us won't be here in 50 years. But you young people will be. So make it count. And God bless you. And God bless the United States of America. Thank you.